truly working with Andes Roofing helped set me up for where I am. And then people are now pouring into your basket. The Andes way is taking care and serving at a high level. Just learning from a business entrepreneurial family has really given me a good step to where I am now.
Welcome back to another episode of Andes Talk. I am Ethan Andes, and I have a very special guest with me. This is a brother from the same mother, my brother William Andes, or in Southern Indiana and Louisville, known as the professional realtor. So, Will, I appreciate you coming on our podcast. I'm hoping to learn more about you, maybe things I don't even know about you from growing up with you, and the real estate game. I know you are very well invested in that, and you're very good at it, and you help a lot of homeowners with buying and selling properties. So we want to get you on today and learn about you and what you do. So
Perfect. Well, I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, man. So tell me about you. Tell me about your family.
Yeah. So myself and my wife, Becky. So I have a brother named Ethan.
Hi.
Yeah. And then I have Isaac, my older brother, and my mom, my dad. Realistically, growing up, I didn't realize, because you're obviously, as people have seen Andes Roofing around town, hardcore into branding. And branding was instilled in us from a very young age, of dad running a marketing company, and shirts, pins, coffee mugs, you name it. We just were raised around branding for large corporations. And from dad's perspective down to mom being a teacher, I was telling someone the other day, is naturally my mother being a teacher just instilled in me the desire to relay value to someone else and to help however I can. So then coming from that to working with you, and I don't think everybody really knows this, but I worked with you for just over 2 years and building Andes Roofing, helping behind the scenes and helping on the sales team and helping with some of the marketing. So that really helped me in my trajectory of business. I will say that 100%, all that I've learned from you. So family as a whole, just learning from a business entrepreneurial family has really given me a good step to where I am now.
Absolutely. Some things that you may not know about Will is you're pretty famous, actually, not just in real estate, but how many albums do you have now that you went down to Nashville and recorded?
Yeah, so we went to Nashville 2 times, recorded my first album, I think it was 2016, and then my second album about 3 years after that. And then we've got a studio in Corydon, Indiana, that we work with a gentleman out there. And we did a local album, and we're about to do another album, hopefully here soon.
And then you're very active in the Christian circles and doing different things in the community and stuff.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great. But there's a lot we could go into that, because I know a lot of the stuff about you. There's so much fun stuff that we've done over the years as we grew up. We were homeschooled, if you all didn't know, and that's part of the reason why we're probably kind of interesting around people. But yeah. So did you do the same path I did with the dual credits and going to college and stuff?
Yeah. So I actually went for a triple major type of program. So I know we both went down the management route of just getting like a general management degree. And then at the time, IUS, they offered another credit, which was the marketing piece. And then Chris Cox, believe it or not, said, hey, there's another piece, which is a sales accreditation. So I was able to get a triple accreditation in management marketing.
Was that the entrepreneurship thing?
No, that was more, I just found out about the sales aspect. So it wasn't the entrepreneurship thing.
Cool.
But they came out with the sales piece. So I said, why not? Make me look good in an interview.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, mine. So did you go to Ivy Tech or just IUS?
Went to Ivy Tech and then transferred to IUS.
Okay, I did the same thing. So it's a little life hack for you guys. The credits look the same, but you get those prerequisite credits and all other stuff for half the price. So, don't want to give away all the secrets. But yeah, then you went to IUS, graduated with your bachelor's, and then you have a lot of entrepreneurship in your blood. So I know, at how many companies, did you start one or multiple companies?
Yep. So when I was in college, we started a landscaping company. It was Andes Edge.
Ooh.
The green before the green Andes Roofing.
A cut above.
exactly. And then I started a company called Hydro Peak, and that was right during COVID. So basically, COVID happened. I was working as the VP of marketing and sales at Dad's company. And I could still remember the time where I was sitting at my desk, and Dad walks over to me, and he says, "Hey, Will, we need to talk." And this was right when COVID was happening. And he said, "Hey, I think you need to just take off for a week with this whole COVID thing that's happening." So 1 week turned to 2 weeks, and then from there it was very clear with the economy and where we were at that things weren't looking good. So for my dad's business, being in corporate marketing, people weren't getting together in meetings anymore. So my position basically became eliminated. And I had two options. It was, hey, I can go apply for another job, or I can file unemployment, or I can start a business and just grind. And that was the option. Really, that was only the second option for me, because I wasn't going to go and just kind of lay on the sidelines and hope COVID was going to kind of blow over. So started Hydro Peak, set a goal for $100,000 to do as gross income. And in the cleaning business, exterior, like 100,000 in those circles was a benchmark to set. Like, go for 100 grand your first year. So we ended up at the end of the year doing 300,000. And I didn't expect that to happen, but it was like, hey man, I'm thankful. I'm thankful to God that broke the mentality of being an employee for me.
The 8 to 5.
The 8 to 5, where working for someone else, it was, hey, I've got a little bit of security here, because if I don't necessarily perform at the highest level, I've got something to fall back on, which is my paycheck. Whereas when it's COVID and there's emotions going everywhere, I remember where I said, well, where do I want to focus my energies? And it was the areas in that business where there was money. So I immediately went to East End, Prospect, Floyd's Knobs, and just dove into those markets.
Door to door selling hand sanitizer.
But that's where I learned about the marketing piece. And if I hadn't have had that, I really don't think I'd be where I am today, because it forced me out of gear 1 to gear 7 like that. So I'm thankful, because I graduated from college and I moved into kind of the corporate mentality. I actually went to Konica Minolta corporate sales for a little while, got out of that, ran my own business. And then from there, I remember it was February of, what was it? What was the year I started with you? It was like 3 years ago. It was in February. And I was like, do I want to do this business again long term? Do I want to do exterior cleaning and pressure washing and all this stuff? And could I have done it and scaled it? 100%. But then you approached me and you're like, hey, man, why don't you try and sell for me? And it
Pull
was
the old weasel maneuver on you. I was like, hey, just try this out. 2 years later, you know? No, I see that little like meme. I'll probably butcher it, but in my mind, where he's just like, oh yeah, that 40-hour work week, that's a cute part-time job, you know? Yeah, like that mentality, it works in B2B. I had a brief stint in B2B myself, and I realized that I like talking to people too much, and that B2B mentality, it's like it creates all these like roadblocks and barriers, and people hide behind their desk. But like B2C, you're going to their home. I mean, in your case, you're touring their home, you're going through, this is our most valuable asset.
Oh, yeah.
And I mean, in some cases, this could be their retirement where they're scaling back, and a lot of that goes into their retirement. So it's a very big deal. That would kind of segue into asking you, I mean, I know you loved home improvements. You helped a lot of homeowners with us. You had great customer satisfaction, all that stuff. You started in the grind years of Andes Roofing, where we didn't have everything figured out. And what prompted you to go into real estate? Because it was just this transition. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So I don't think what Ethan saw was, while I was working for you full time, I was also learning full time.
You're just taking my secret.
And you hear a lot about people who want to change their destiny or change their reality of where they operate. And while I was with homeowners, I was dialed in on the sale to help them in their roofing process and in their project. But once I stepped away from that homeowner, I was listening to audiobooks. I think I went through an audiobook just about every other day. And it was like, what can I learn? What can I learn? What can I learn? And I was learning from incredible minds, Robert Kiyosaki, just various different ones. Dave Ramsey, financial coaches, real estate coaches, investing coaches. And I realized that a large percentage of these coaches at their stage in their business were heavily invested in real estate.
Yep.
And I said, with all of these guys at this level, what is their key determining factor of their wealth? And it was 50 to 70% of their wealth was in real estate, in commercial real estate, residential real estate, but real estate was a large portion of their wealth. So as I listened to these books and I started to pivot and realize if this is where these people are pivoting their wealth, then I need to explore this. So I can still remember it was 2 Octobers ago. I'm an outdoorsman by trade, so I was out in the woods and I was listening to The Millionaire Real Estate Agent by Gary Keller. And there's another book that you've been through.
Were you sitting in a tree?
Yes. So I was sitting in a tree and I was listening to an audiobook, and it was The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, where Gary Keller breaks down the different processes of building a high-level real estate sales business. At that time, I was heavily involved in the investing part. I was still working at Andes Roofing, and I was fully locked in on I'm going to invest. And it was shortly after that I started to pivot to realize that in order for me to invest, I had to know about the market in order to get those properties to buy. So it was about 3 months of transitioning my thought process to realize if I can get in the real estate sales portion, understand how to sell real estate, then I can understand the numbers behind investing. So shortly, I think it was December or January, I talked to you and said, hey, man, this is the way I'm feeling to go. And
I remember that conversation. I remember exactly where I was. I was standing outside my house on the left side. We were talking on the phone. I was like, hey, man, more power to you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that was one of the most stressful things, I think, for me, because Andes Roofing, if y'all don't know, pays really well. So they're hiring, by the way.
Shameless plug.
Yeah. So I was making great money. And we've been in different sales trainings together. And I think that also was a big catapult for me, because sales is...
Man, why did I do that?
We'll work on a deal together in the future, I'm sure. But sales is one of those things where if you train in one aspect of your business, that will transcend naturally into other aspects where you can sell anything if you're an incredible salesperson. So from that was a very stressful time for me, but truly working with Andes Roofing helped set me up for where I am.
Yeah. So I want to take a little bit of credit of that. So something that we tell new guys that come in for sales is like, hey, I'm not training you for a job. I'm training you for a career in sales, because to help a homeowner, one of our core values is servant's heart. And so treating homeowners the Andes way is ultimately like how you sell the right way, where you always give people options. You always explain it. You let them decide what they want to do. You don't do high pressure and all this nonsense. You don't sell people things they don't need. Nope. And really, it's about setting expectations the right way and just taking care of people.
Absolutely.
Like, how many times have you helped old people fix their iPhones and clean their gutters and all of these things, because we wouldn't want that done to our mom or our dad or somebody, our grandma, that needed taken care of. It's so much bigger than just roofing. Yeah. Or in your case, I know you go above and beyond for your clients. I've got a question on here. What about a memorable experience where the way that you market or how you go to market and portray yourself helped you sell a property and it just kind of blew these people's mind?
Yeah, so I've got 2 stories. I'll say the first one really shortly, and then the next one I'll dive in. So on that aspect of care, so there's a statement that says, people don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And I helped a gentleman in Jeffersonville. He sold his house. He got way more than he was expecting on the sell, and we helped negotiate on the buy and saved him money on a new build. He was downsizing. He was able to pay off debt, and for him, he was 75, his wife was 65. So I take things very seriously when someone's listing their house because it's not just another house, it's this person's livelihood. They're trusting to me to sell their most valuable asset. So we got under contract on his new build, and I had got a fencing contractor to come over. We're standing in the living room area, and he had gotten the quote. He was just about to sign the estimate. And I was like, Earl, I think we just need, because for me, that was not anything like of my business. But I kind of took it as like I was his grandson.
Yeah.
And I said, Earl, I think we probably just need to get a second quote because it seems like it was just a little bit, quite a bit higher actually. And I just said, I think we need to get a second quote. Got a second estimate. It was somebody he'd used in the past. He saved quite a bit of money, and they did a great job. So with that, that was a level of care where it's like, hey, that's totally out of my lane. But at the same token, it's like, I truly care about my people. And if I can help you in even the minute details in this process, that's what I'm here for. The next story, Charleston, Indiana, we sold above asking price. We ended up negotiating $15,000 off the buy side. And for radon, so for any of you all in Southern Indiana, if you don't know about radon, radon is the second highest cause of lung cancer in the nation. So first cause, obviously, is smoking and killing your lungs that way. Second is radon. So they thought about not doing a radon test, and we went ahead and did one. And the radon levels, it was a slab, didn't even have a basement, and they were extremely high. So we negotiated a radon install as well as the $15,000 off the buy side. So once again, it's like, hey, we don't necessarily have to do this, but for your safety, I feel we should.
Gotcha. Well, whole time he was talking about that, I was just thinking about what if you're smoking while you're in radon? You knock out one
Watch
and two. Yeah, no, our general manager, he's actually in the middle of a move right now. And I think the person he used, they were like, hey, I think you really should get a radon test.
Oh, yeah.
And they got it done. It was 30 times what it should have been. I mean, it's just crazy. And it's silent, right? Like it's the odorless something. I mean, this is a gas.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I just talked to a guy in a neighborhood. He said that I don't think he'd ever smoked in his life, and he had lung cancer. And he was like leaning up against his Mustang, and he's like, man, I've never smoked, and now I got lung cancer, and most likely it was radon. So just definitely check into the radon before you buy a house, or if you have one, I'd get it checked.
Man, that's crazy. So we have phrases coined like it's bigger than roofing, and there's different ones, but I want to put you on the spot here. I've been planning this question. Okay. What is the Andes way to you?
In real estate.
It doesn't matter. It's bigger than real estate.
Absolutely. Yes. The Andes way to us at Andes Realty. So I always like to play off this because it's like, you know, Andes Roofing over there, the green guys. Well, I'm Andes Realty over here, the blue. And it's funny because we can play off that where people like my oldest brother, Isaac, they'll be like, Andes, oh, like your brother, the realtor, or your brother, the roofer. They always tie that in. And for me, it's
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well done. Thus far, I realize that there are people in any industry that are make it and break it, where they last for 1, 2, 3, 4 years, but they don't think about the long term. You see that in roofing and any home service business where they've got a short-term goal and they hit that goal and then their energy dies and then everything fades away. So for the Andes way, it's a long-term goal because for me, it's the natural progression of a business because I'm getting calls now. I've never talked to these people. I've never talked to their family members, but it's just the people that I served. And they're like, hey, you sold so-and-so's house. We were so impressed with your job and how you did. Can you come over and take a look at our house? And there's a, like you were saying, the pushy way of like, you can push your way in the door and sell a product or sell a service, but that's not going to get you very far in the long term because then people get that icky leg salesy feel.
It won't snowball. They won't refer you. It's just one and done.
Correct. The Andes way is a long-term way. The Andes way is, okay, so if I have a trajectory of 30 years, 20 years, or if I love this till the day I die and I sell a house and then I go to a casket, if that were to happen, I know that if I do it right every single time, it won't have to be me always pushing for the leads, but people will start calling me. And that's exactly what we're experiencing. So I'm in a coaching group, and there's a lot of other people in our coaching group. And I'm thankful for my coaches. They've been amazing. With these other people in the group, they're talking to tons of people, and they're doing an incredible job. And the amount of people that I talk to a week versus these other guys, it's substantial how much fewer people I talk to than these other guys. Like, I might talk to 25 to 50 people, whereas somebody else might be talking to like 250 people a week. But when you dive into that, it's how you take care of your people.
The quality of the conversations.
If I dive deeply into someone's life and I'm not just like, hey, are you need to sell or you need to buy, but I'm like, hey, how can I serve you and your family? Mm-hmm. How can I help you get highest and best? Is highest and best on your house your goal? Okay, tell me a little bit more about that. So instead of me telling my way into something, I like to ask questions and say, well, what is most important to you about this? Okay, so you do need to move quicker because you've got to move because of a family situation. How can I help serve you in this move? So the Andes way is not just selling a product or a service and moving on, but it's saying, I am here for service. And it goes much deeper than that, even from a godly and a spiritual perspective. I'm here to serve you. And if I can serve 25 people a week by a conversation or a needs analysis, realistically, that 25 people will begin, like you said, to snowball. And pretty soon it's like a basket where it starts to fill up. And then people are now pouring into your basket. The Andes way is taking care and serving at a high level.
So just like anybody that's done anything at high levels of success, nobody is self-made. And you and I could probably both agree, our upbringing with our dad, we grew up in a heavy ministry background. So that service is kind of baked into you, basically giving with no expectation of return. And then the Lord just takes care of you, you know? And you take that into the business world, like dad was very professional. Like, like my dad started a business in our basement, a promotional, he did like pens and jackets and stuff like that in our basement. And he would get up, and I remember he would get up early, he would put on a suit and tie, and he would go down into the basement, and he would cold call people, business, because he was doing B2B. All day long. Yeah. And he would do that day in and day out. And so we tell people, we literally grew up in a business. We watched that grind phase happen, and then he moved the business out of the house, and, you know, he's still in the building that he moved to now. But that part coupled with the professionalism, you know, like, did I help you kind of coin the professional roofer? You know, but Andy's Roofing was built on that. So we all dress a certain way. We all act a certain way. We train constantly because homeowners deserve the best. They deserve the best experience. And a lot of that, well, I'm assuming is baked into you. And I've seen just from the market and the feedback we've gotten from dealing with people that have dealt with you, is that you go above and beyond for people like you're saying here. But it's really, when you're dealing with people's most valuable asset, and a lot of times their retirement, their equity, things like that, that they may be rolling into something else, like you have to make sure that it's more than a transaction, that you're watching out for those people's best interests at heart. And I would give you a shameless plug and put my name behind yours, that when you go to market and you help these homeowners, that it's the right way, where it's just like, hey, look, this may be the decision that you may not think serves you the best right this second, but long-term, this is going to help you more than even what you think. And once you educate them, they're like, oh yeah, you weren't just in it for a sale. Correct. You know, that's transactional leadership and transactional relationships. Right. And that has never been what you've been about. And I appreciate that. That being said, so you've gained some notoriety now, and hopefully the Andes name has helped you a little bit with that. But in the future, I've talked to you, and I guess there's no end in sight. There's no slowing down in sight. But you haven't had kids yet. I'm assuming that's down the road, but that has a way of slowing you down inadvertently, just a little bit, or at least realigning your purpose and your goals. In the next 5 to 10 years, what do you see with Andes Realty, William Andes Realty, and then, just what you want to do?
Yeah. So it's like you said about having kids. Like, I know one day, if God tarries, that will happen. And with that, as you see in home services and roofing, whatever you name it, there's the Lone Ranger approach where it's like, I can do it all myself and I can wear all the hats. And you've been a good example of that because, when you have kids, you only have so much time in a day. And there's a reason why you've hired so many people. There's a reason why you have a marketing team. There's a reason why you have an accounting team, and you have all these leaders that you're learning from, is because you understand you cannot do it all yourself. And
you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, build a team.
Correct. And for me, in our business, I've understood that, yes, as a solo agent, as myself, and we've been branded as William Andes Realtor. And that has been me growing as an individual, as a solo agent, building my brand and understanding fully the business on how to serve at the highest level. And I've reached a point in my business now where it is now becoming Andes Realty. So we're right at the cusp of, if you're looking at like a graph and then you see like a corporate stock exchange, or you see where the stock price just immediately shoots. And that's where we're at in our business, is it's been William Andes Realtor and it's transitioning now to Andes Realty. So now we can really play off of each other. And I've got a lot of marketing. Like I just had a couple conversations with a couple marketing guys, and we're about to take it to the next level. So with that, the next 5 to 10 years is building the brand of people around me, similarly to Andy's Roofing, of not having me in the forefront limelight, because you, as a roofing contractor, even if it is a roof, like if your roof is leaking and you've got roof like leaks and mold and all in your house, they want to know who they're dealing with. So you've been a really good role model on that, of like people will be like, well, why is Ethan on the billboard? And why was Ethan out front? Like, why was he being the role model for the company? And there's a reason for that, because people have to know who they're dealing with. Like, it's cool there's a brand, but like I've talked to different people in your old neighborhood and they're like, yeah, that guy on the billboard, like he used to live in our neighborhood, and they knew you personally.
Yep.
So building a brand is not just like, think about Amazon. Jeff Bezos started that out of his garage, but it was Jeff Bezos building what he built. So it's been a point where I want people to know who they're dealing with, and not just slapping a brand on a sign and saying, hey, this is who you're dealing with now, but hey, who's behind the scenes? So now, as I build that brand, the next 5 to 10 years is building the people that will build with me to grow Andes Realty. And we've been blessed this year by the amount of millions that we've sold in real estate thus far. And I would like to 5X that, if not 10X that, in the next 5 to 10 years.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, no, yeah, it's, you go through that grind phase, and I did it in roofing, where it was like, okay, now we know how to sell a roof. Now we know how to install a roof the Andes way. Now we know how to create that customer experience. How do we 10X this? Mm-hmm. And you have to have a team to do that, because you can't be everywhere. At this point, I have a general manager for the company, and they oversee the day-to-day. So I can sit here and do podcasts and talk to awesome, cool people, But, yeah, you're on the right track. This year, I mean, I've watched you grind. I don't know if you're going to get Rookie of the Year or not, but it looks pretty good. And it's one of those things that's just a byproduct of the dedication that you have to your craft. They say it's a 5-year plan for realtors to have any kind of success. And I would say in the first year, you've done what most people haven't done in 5 years. And really, that's putting in the reps. Yep. Most successful people got there by putting in the reps, and those people recognize other people at that level. And so I recognize it. I appreciate it. And I like being around you because you inspire me, you know, even though around the 1st of November to maybe the 14th of November, you kind of vanished there for a little while. But that's to be expected. I understand.
Absolutely.
But Will, I want to say how much I appreciate you coming on the podcast, talking about your business. So this is 2024 towards the end at this date in podcast. I cannot wait to see the next couple of years, what happens with your business, with our business. I'm very interested to know about your marketing endeavors going forward. We have some big announcements at the Andes companies that we're going to be rolling out soon that I think you could benefit from. And that's all I'll say at this point. But thanks for coming on, Will. Appreciate you. Love you. One of the best bros I got. Have a good day.